Hey everyone, I'm Mark,
And I'm Alex.
and this is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks. Hello everyone, welcome to the next episode in our Final Fantasy series. So we are in Final Fantasy X still. We left off where we fought Defender X right at the end of the Calmlands. We talked about
Yep.
Durin, we got some sword, we did a few things. We didn't progress though past that, and so we're still kind of at the end of the Calmlands. Dude, I was thinking about this, putting this episode together. We are actually getting pretty far into the story. It's kind of insane just how time
Yeah.
flies.
Yeah, I know. And honestly, today I was even thinking about, our journey through Final Fantasy 9. It's crazy, man. I mean, we're really getting through this one. We're getting to the point now where, yeah, we're about what, three-quarters of the way through the story?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. All right, well, if you do go ahead and cross that bridge, right, we went underneath it. If you go ahead and cross it, there's one last kind of small scene here, and it shows Yuna, she's kind of she's hanging back. Everyone's walked across, and, Yuna's just in the back, she's staring. And we've kind of actually seen this a few times, but now Tidus understands, right? He's like, I finally understand. She's saying goodbye. Imagine like traveling the world for your first time, seeing all cool stuff, knowing that like you'll never return because you're gonna die,
I
and it's
know.
like, wow, yeah, that's kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah, it does put things into perspective, right? Imagine, like you said, imagine doing that and you're never going to see any of these places again. And so she's kind of taking those mental snapshots and just trying to remember it.
After that, we go into the next area, and this is actually Mount Gagazet. You kind of just gotta go up a little path here, there's some pillars, and you're like, oh, okay, do, and like, like here comes Biran, and he does like some giant like ninja fist slam from 200 feet up in the air, and you're like, all right, dude, yeah, we already know you. What is this, man? Like, all of a sudden, the mountains are just lined with Ronso, just tons of them. It's like, all right, guys, we know from Blitzball you have 40 speed. You are not fast. You're not a fast race, okay? Where did you come from?
Yeah, but they got 99 jump, man. That's the main thing. They got
Yeah.
infinite jump height or something like that.
Uh,
Yeah, it is pretty funny, I know. And he's sitting there, just giving them the glare, basically mean mugging at him. I just got to say, I love Mount Gagazet. It's I think it's such a great change up in environment. It's kind of the first time that you really have this sort of like high mountain, snowy environment, kind of like the Himalayas or something.
Yeah, because I mean, we had like the snow at Makalani, but first, that area was really small. And then second, yeah, it's not like mountainy. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I do like this area. And after we get a glimpse of all the Ronso and stuff, here comes Mustache Kelk. Basically, he's like, you must leave at once. He kind of just basically portrays that, obviously we're traitors, same as everyone else. All right, broken record. Yeah, we know, guys. Thanks, everyone's just telling us all the time. He kind of seems like the last member. He was a maester. I guess maybe he's not now. I don't know. He left, but did he like full and just leave the church?
That's what I don't really understand. I mean, at this point, you look at what's happened over, with all of the Macers that we know. Kelk, it seems like you said, it seems like he's just left, but he's still sort of holding true to Yevon.
He portrays that Gagazet's the holy mountain of Yevon, and it's like, is it really? Or the Ronso just be like, holy mountain of Yevon? And it's like, yeah, okay, guys.
Yeah.
They will not suffer infidels, man. Traitors, infidels, what murderers, whatever, whatever insult they can toss out at this point. But man, Yuna, she ain't taking this laying down anymore, dude.
I know they're all just so fed up with it. She basically says that she's doing this pilgrimage for Spira, right? She's not doing it for Yevon anymore. She's cast aside Yevon. She follows the temple no more.
Of course, when she says that, that's when he's like, you will die by those words. Like, dude, calm down, man. Like, do we have to believe in Yevon? We have to. If we don't,
Yep.
then you're just gonna kill us? Like, gosh, man.
I mean, it kind of is like the Spanish Inquisition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing. It's like infidel,
Burn them.
and Yeah, you either fall in line, or apparently, according to him, you're just gonna die by those words. So
Dude, even Waka, what personal growth Waka's gone here. Oh man, he's just like, basically more or less they're just talking like, yeah, well, okay, whatever, try to kill us, but Waka's is like, yeah, a bunch of low down tricksters, eh?
yeah, and then I love how you've got Titus and Riku standing behind him. It's like, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. They're just
They're just like
cheerleading
cheering
them.
him on. But you're right. I mean, the character arc with Waka is so interesting because I feel like the major turn was home, right? When he was
Yeah.
going through all of that and he was seeing how bad Yevon was and what they were willing and able to do.
It
Yeah.
also shows that hey, he's not just some blind, hard-headed follower, right? He actually thinks about this stuff and can change his mind. So that's pretty cool. At this point, like Lulu and Orin basically come in. There's like, if I may, Lulu, you can go ahead. Everyone's talking freely here. Like you don't need permission, But she's like,
She's still so polite.
haven't you also left Yevon?
Yeah.
But you follow it because you're a believer. She's like, Yuna is the same.
And then you've got
Mr.
Biran over
Let
here.
Biran run them asunder. It's like, dude, come and
It's
try
his
it,
favorite saying.
buddy. All right, I watched you get knocked out with one uppercut in a bar. All right, I am not worried about you one bit.
He loves to say rend them asunder.
Yeah,
It's like his
dude,
favorite
you're,
thing
you're
to
gonna
say.
literally slice us in half. Like you're just gonna slice us
Yes.
head to tail. Okay,
All right, well, we'll take him on. Seriously,
yeah,
it's
come
getting
and
to
try
that
it, big
point though.
man. Like Kimahri, go ahead,
Yep.
uppercut him again. All right, that's one down. Who's next?
Kelk at this point though, he's basically like, "What do you even fight for at this point? You've been branded a traitor. You've been cast aside, hated, and all this stuff." And then you get the music, the Besaid. I
It's
think it's
just,
the Besaid music, yeah,
uh,
coming in, and
I
it's
fight
like very
for Spira. Oh, she
aw.
fights for Spira. Aw. It melts the heart of a lion creature thing. He sits there, he shakes his head. Apparently his Ronso have like this connected consciousness with a mineral, aka a mountain. But anyway, so he talks too, and all this stuff, but he's basically just saying, like she's got a strong will.
And while this is going on, they're having like their little conversation. Titus and Walker just shadow boxing again, doing their like big brother, little brother dynamic thing at the background or something.
Like, yeah, he agrees. Oh, yeah, we're gonna.
Yeah,
Oh, got me.
yeah.
At this point, though, we have been allowed to have passage. We're allowed to go by. All that it took was just saying that we were fighting for Spira. That's it. Where you get free roam, you can walk around. I've been taking upon myself to really try to talk as much as I can to all the people and stuff, and so I don't really remember some of these conversations in the past. I'm sure
Yeah,
I've
me
talked
neither.
to some of these characters at some point. You could talk to them like a total of 3 times, right? And that's kind of like the standard is you'd always, to
Mhm.
get through all of the content. But Lulu, she's kind of just like, Yuna's stronger now, and Titus is like, I'd say driven. Lulu's like, well, that's the same thing. Like she is able to go further because she's strong and she has this driven thing, and
Right.
so it kind of coordinates.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like she's strong in the face of everything, right? That's been thrown at her, so she's both driven and strong. And then Orin is really interesting. Orin, always has the most insightful commentary. He's talking about how basically it's going to be a lot of turmoil, it's going to be a lot of tough times for Yevon and for those who truly believe. Not just Yevon, really the focus is the believers of Yevon, right? They're going to be the ones that are affected the most about all of this.
Yeah, Titus says something like, he's like, who cares what happens to Yevon? Dude, Orin puts in his place, like, because you're not of this world. Of course you don't care,
Right.
man. Like, you
Yeah.
didn't grow up with these things. You haven't seen all the, the people who actually believe in this stuff and what it's actually going to do to them. And if you talk to him a couple more times, I think one of the last ones, he's like, they're kind of just reflecting. Because as you'll get and know, is like, this is kind of the last stop before Xanarkand. And so if we're looking
Yep.
at as the whole goal of the pilgrimage, like this is the second to last stop before Yuna dies and defeats sin, essentially. And so they're kind of all reflecting and thinking about that. And so he also tells Titus, he's like, your time as a guardian soon over. Like, man, this is almost it. It's almost the end.
And Waka says something similar too. And this is interesting because when you think about it, Waka was the first character of this group that we really met. he didn't really want to say anything about Xanarkand, and he didn't really want to talk about it. But now Wakka's kind of come around. He's just basically like, yeah, we're almost there. We're almost at your Xanarkand. But he does say, the one around the mountain is a pile of rubble, but yours is somewhere out there. And it's like, is it though?
Yeah, man. It's called In the Past. Tidus, you can't fly to your Xanarkand. Wakka, his Xanarkand isn't just out there in Spira. You're not gonna, it's called, It already happened. That's what it's called. Oh my gosh, man. This is such a hard concept for them to understand.
Well, and it's interesting because we're about to find out what the real story behind all of that, like the real crux of it, is coming up.
We'll get some insight for sure. Well, Riku, man, you could talk to Riku, guys. Everyone, I'll give you one guess what she talks about. Anyone? Can anyone guess what she talks about?
What has she been talking about?
I haven't thought of anything. Okay, yes, we realize because it's been like 2 miles since the last time that we talked to you about this, and you haven't thought of anything. It's like, yeah, so Riku's not gonna give you any fun insights or anything. She's just like, oh, time's almost up, and we haven't thought of anything. And it's like, yep, okay, moving on.
Their strategy, it's just basically like, we'll just magically think of something.
Yeah, in between all these battles, in between training chocobos, in between bosses and stuff, the whopping 2 minutes of downtime that you get. Yeah, no, you haven't thought of anything? Wow.
And then, of course, Kimahri. It's funny. Another, again, like everything is kind of coming to the crux of it now. And the Kimahri, Biran, and Yenke thing. That's all basically happening. But he says that they're gone.
You kind of get a little hints here that obviously, if you never played, you wouldn't know. But after playing it, coming back, it's like, wow, he really kind of gives some foreshadowing about what's about to happen because he has Biran and Yenke are gone. Tidus is like, who cares or whatever. He kind of lets you know, he's like, Biran is hero of Ronso, Yenke is powerful warrior. So these are pretty much the two warrior heroes of the Ronso, essentially, like the most powerful, strongest guys. So that's kind of an interesting thing that, he does say that. There's a couple other just NPC Ronsos around. You can even talk to Kelk, and he just kind of says the mountain's full of fiends, guard your summoner well. And then there's the one last Ronso before you move up the path. And if you talk to him, he gives even more about the history of Kimahri and his friends. Because apparently when they're young, Biran beat Kimahri. But Kimahri was just he was a little crybaby, apparently. He would not admit that he lost. So in retaliation, Biran just snaps off his horn. Karma, man, it's going to come back and bite you. Don't be a sore loser.
Yeah. And that's the other interesting thing. Like, we've kind of seen how small Kimahri is.
Dude, he's tiny.
Versus some of these other Ronso, right? So it's kind of like, he's the underdog. That's been his whole story.
Really get the sense, because during the whole altercation before, Kimahri does the whole, he goes and stands up to Biran. Dude, his head is, almost, it's, snapped all the way up. Because, Biran's, a good 3 feet taller than him.
He's, 12 feet tall.
Yeah, he's looking up. It's like, dude, all right, yeah, you got a mean uppercut, so we'll give you that, Kimahri.
Yep, exactly. I mean, hey, sometimes big things come in small packages, right?
Yeah, sometimes, absolutely.
Yeah, at this point, you'll want to save your game.
And well, we are going to get into another short segment here, right? This episode will probably be a little bit shorter in general, just because, once we get to the end of Mount Gagazet, there's a lot of stuff that goes on. And so if we were to get to all of that, this episode would probably be an hour and a half. So if I just be a little bit shorter, well, let's go ahead and get to the short segment, man. All right, so we're talking about doing favorites and stuff. Sometimes it might change up, but this time we're thinking, what's your favorite overdrive system, right? We're looking at the games, getting your limit breaks or overdrives, whatever it's called, but what's the favorite system? So since you started us out with the airships last time, man, I'll start us off with this one. Honestly, I was thinking about this because there's quite a variety. Some are similar, but it's quite a variety. Just for sheer, I don't know, customization and stuff and variety, I gotta go with 10s, man. I absolutely love the overdrive system in 10, and that you can choose how it's charged. That's awesome. It's not just always down to getting hit.
Yeah, that's true. No, 10 is a good one. And I mean, there's a lot of different ways to look at this because, like you said, it's, there's some that are really, really powerful, really easy to abuse. like Final Fantasy 8s come to mind where you
Yeah.
can just basically spam, limit breaks. But 10 definitely has some of the deepest customization. I think for me, honestly, it's got to be 7. I always just did love 7s a lot. It wasn't as deep in customization, like the way that their limit bars fill,
Sure.
for example. But I liked how you had for each character you had at least 7 or yeah, seven limit breaks. They all had kind of like different ones and everything. I just loved that one. And also you could use it whenever you wanted to. Versus 9, trance is really
Ah,
tricky because you can't really time it. It's just, you either get it or you don't. And sometimes you don't get it in the battle that you want it to be.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Because 7, you can hang on to it. You don't have to use it right away. I like kind of 8's. I like how 8 has like you can learn it from the different weapons and stuff. But the thing is, it's like critical, right? If you don't have what is it, aura? Like it only happens when you're at critical, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, that really sucks because I need to use it when I'm not at critical.
Yeah, exactly. And we were talking about this, and maybe some of our listeners could let us know on social or something like that. But we were thinking, was there one for 13? And it's a tricky question because not really, right? There wasn't
Yeah.
really a limit break per se, but there were like those ultimate abilities at the very end of the Crystarium, things like you mentioned, High Wind,
Sure.
Army of One for Lightning, so on and so forth. But I don't know if you consider those limits. It's
almost just
just a
like
totally different
combos.
game.
Well, and so yeah, all right. Yours is 7, mine's 10. Honorable mention for probably the stupidest one ever is 12, with
Oh, God.
people whistling with tidal waves, and you just got an orphan boy that's just a typical guy, and apparently he can shoot giant fireball volcanoes out of his arms and other things, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, this is a little ridiculous.
And the thing I really hated about quickenings, to be totally honest with you, was that you had to chain them for them to do basically anything at all. If you just used one quickening, it did like no damage. It'd be like this huge extravagant animation and everything like that. Even goes like to a different scene. But it does like 200 damage.
Yep.
So I just don't like that they only really do anything if you chain them.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You have to get the combos. And also just, I mean, we could go a lot further in. These are supposed to be short segments, but essentially the fact that you had, like, it was completely random and you had to sit there and shuffle to get the next one.
Yeah,
It's
I
like, this
just
whole
hated
system's
that.
stupid.
So it was honestly more stressful than it was fun to
Yes,
me
I
because you were
agree.
just trying really hard to get that. And it's like, it's just annoying.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get back to it. All right, well, you're walking up. Do. You get stopped. Tidus is like, huh?
Halt.
Summoner may pass. Guardians may pass. Kimahri not pass. Oh, got him.
Oh, they lulled you into false sense of security there. They're like, wait, we can pass? Really? And then I love the way they say, Kimahri not pass.
Yeah.
It's like,
So the
well,
crew,
sorry,
the
Kimahri,
crew
see
kind
ya.
of looked around at each other and like, all right, Kimahri, see you, dude. Like, we got to get going here. Like, you take care of your things,
Yeah,
maybe
you
catch up.
just wait here. We'll come back for you when we're done.
It's typical Biran and Yenke stuff where, there's harping on Kimahri. Basically, they have unresolved issues after that fight. I mean, so now with the insight we have, is this literally that Kimahri didn't admit defeat when they're children? I mean, come on, man. Like, this is really what this whole grudge is about, guys. Like, it's at some point you just let things go. At some point you got your revenge. You broke his horn. Isn't that like kind of even? It's just hysterical.
No, exactly. It's all based on like, the mountain only likes those who are strong, right?
Yeah.
So we can't let anybody who's weak.
Dude,
like,
little
pass.
Ronso, weakling Ronso. It's like, gosh, man, you guys are brutal, dude. Kimahri, you need new friends, man.
And then here we go with one of the most epic battles here, right? This is so awesome. And you
Yep.
actually get to finally fight Biran and Yenke.
Yeah, for real. We get to fight him, and Tidus wants to hop in, but he's like, Kimahri problem, and it's like, all right, dude, whatever. You got your honor to defend, I guess. And so honestly, there's a few things, right? So you can learn a lot of the Ronso abilities by doing Lancet. So you got that. And you'll also want to steal a lot, which honestly, man, after kind of just going through, doing the research, doing the notes, I don't think I ever really knew this about how much you can steal from them.
Yeah, I know. I totally missed this when I first played this game because you don't usually have steal on Kimahri, right? And he's
No, that's
the only
true.
one. But then also, this is so critical because level 3s are just really hard to come by, so this is kind of a chance where you can actually stockpile a whole bunch of these.
Yeah, and honestly, you made the best point. That's probably why I didn't know about this, is because I don't think I've ever had steal on Kimahri. But you can steal level 3 key spheres from them, and you can steal up to 8, and I don't think it's like particular to, I don't think it's like 4 and 4. I think you can just steal both of them up to a total of 8, I think is how it works. I'm not sure. I do
Yeah, I'm
know
not either,
I
but
stole like 3 from Biran, and then, like, I stole probably like 10 times after that. I wasn't getting one. I went to the other dude and I stole 4 real quick. And I was like, okay.
yeah, it gets pretty hard after 6, right? 6 can be kind of tricky, but after that, to try and get those last ones. Every time you steal successfully, it goes down. Your percentage
Yep.
of actually making a successful steal goes down, and I think it's really low to get those last ones. But you can get, like you said, up to 8. And the other thing that's cool here is if you haven't been using Kamari, you haven't been using Lancet, or at least you've been missing them, or whatever the case may be, you can get like almost every
Ronso Rage or whatever, I guess.
yes, the Ronso Rage, yeah, I was blanking on the name there, his limit break. But you can get, like there's 3 that you probably don't have because we haven't really fought these enemies yet. So there's Doom, you can also get Mighty Guard, that's extremely good. And what you wanna do too, what I like to do is once you get a limit, use your limit, then lance it again, because every time you lance it, you get a full overdrive. And then White Wind also is really big.
I think this battle is really designed for that specifically
Yeah,
because main thing with them is so they'll be on the same side. They'll use a move called Bulldoze, which will go through you, and so they'll separate it sometimes. But whenever they're together, which is almost, it's quite frequent, if you just use a regular attack, like the other one guards it and it just does hardly any damage. So it's like, I think that's why it's
yeah,
kind of really pointing you to either only attack when they're on opposite sides or just using your overdrive. And so, you'll lance it, overdrive, use jump, use something else, use whatever. But yeah, the Mighty Guard is a great one, and that would also be probably as soon as you learn that at whatever point, use that one instantly, right? Because that's just that's gonna help you out a ton.
another thing I noticed too, and I just found this kind of funny, is that Iran is really strong. Like his bulldoze does like 500. Yenke sucks. He's really not good at all. He uses magic every once in a while. His magic is super
Dude,
weak. He'll be sitting there
does like
using like thunder and
80.
stuff on you. Yeah, and when he uses bulldoze, it's really pathetic. It does like 100 damage, if that. I don't really know why that is, but yeah, Yenke, he's
It's
not
because
strong
he's
at
just a
all.
strong warrior, but Biran is a hero, man. Hero, okay?
Yeah,
Either way, if you kill Biran first, Yankee will use haste on himself, so you'll just have to deal with that. If you kill Yankee first, Biran will use Berserk, so you'll probably want to kill Biran because haste is a lot easier to deal with than Berserk.
yeah, I almost always kill Yankee first just because he's the easiest to kill. But Baron, once he gets Berserk on, I think that's about when that bulldoze really starts to hit hard for like 500. I just find myself having to heal quite a bit because he does it all the time.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, I think that should be pretty much all he does. I would think is bulldoze if he's berserked, and since they're Ronso, they'll use all the kind of rages. So they'll use Aqua Breath, they'll use Fire Breath, and Aqua Breath isn't too much. Fire Breath will kind of hit a bit. So some armor with water and fire protections would definitely help in this instance. I wouldn't worry about the
yeah,
spells and stuff.
they don't use Stone Breath, which is really good. And they also don't. Be funny if they did like self destruct or something,
Dude, it would be.
just kill themselves.
Yeah. Well, once you take them both out, you win. It's like, all right, yes, we did, and you get some pretty good prizes. You get a return in friend sphere for winning. So, definitely try to get an overkill here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, return spheres, we've had quite a few of those. Friend spheres, we've had a couple, but I mean, even if you don't need to use them, just for customization, these are so useful to get,
Yes,
and definitely try to get two.
it'd be great. And well, here you go, man. Kimahri, the small Ronso, the hornless Ronso, the weakling Ronso, the hold on, let me scroll up see what other insults we got. The little Ronso. I mean, all that stuff. Well, he beat him. And I think it's Biran. He goes, it's Secret Mountain Gagazet. Once again, they're talking to inanimate, objects. They think it can respond. He says basically, like forever honor the name Kimahri and all that. The mountain responds back. You wouldn't think it, but the mountain actually responds back. It's like, cool, thanks for letting me know, guys. And like,
Yeah,
it was a cool
I,
moment.
I like I like the echo too. It's like honor the Ronso that defeated Biran. Honor the Ronso that defeated Yenke and all of that kind of
That
stuff.
name
Yeah, and
is
basically,
Kimahri. Yeah.
yeah, it's like Kamari, Ari, Ari, Ari.
Then they talk to like Yuna specifically, pretty much like, they allude that we're being followed, which, I mean that's not news. We just had Guado guys try to take us back. So they allude to that, but we're still being followed, right? And that they will crush them behind, and that we should be honored that we have Kimahri, as the guardian and all that stuff. And your statue will be the most cared for or honored or something. He's like, I don't think they're gonna make a statue out of me, man. They're like, don't worry, we will carve it with our horns, dude. What are those diamond tipped horns? What do you mean you're gonna carve out of stone a statue?
I know, seriously. But yeah, to honor Yuna, right? And like you said, it's like, you crush enemies in front, we crush enemies coming behind, or something like that. And then this is a classic, right? So this is one of the funniest parts, too. Everybody knows this in Final Fantasy X community. Tidus is like, oh, I'd love to be around to see the statue of Yuna, but I want to be around to see it with Yuna by my side.
With Yuna by my side. Yeah, it's like, why? I don't know. Do you think they
What
like?
was up with the timing?
Yeah, why did they record it like that? It wasn't like
don't
a
know.
short scene. Sometimes they do have to get creative with things because again, we've mentioned
Yeah.
before, facial reactions will be strange, and so I know that the translators were probably doing the best and the voice actors are trying to do the best, but this one, why did he say it so fast? Like with Yuna by my
I
side.
know. Yeah, and they hear it and they're like, "Yep, sounds good."
Yep, all right, man.
Yep.
You got it. He's like, you didn't want me to slow down? No, that was perfect, man. Like, no
No.
spaces. Look, the translation's right here. There's no spaces in between the words. Like, you're supposed to say it really
Yeah.
fast.
We didn't have time to re-record it, so that's gonna have to be.
Yeah, we didn't
But
have time to redo a 5-second clip. Yeah.
but anyway, so after this, you keep going up the path, and you get stopped again. It's like, man, okay, we've had cutscene after cutscene after cutscene. Just what is wrong? And they're like, halt, right?
Dude,
And then
Tidus has
"What
had
is
it, man.
this time."
He's like, what
Yeah.
is it this time? It's like, gosh, guys,
Yeah.
just let us go already. Holy cow. It's like Tibetan monk reverberating things, and like it's like, geez, man, this is bad. We'll just go. It's okay.
So we got to hear the hymn of the faith for a while here, and they're just sitting there like, "Yep, okay, we go now, guys." After that, we can finally.
You can. Yep.
We're gonna talk
Finally, you
about
can
some of
go.
the fiends through here.
Yeah, so we do got new fiends, obviously new area, but more or less the same, right? So Bandersnatch is just another wolf. I will say the Bandersnatch, dude, this thing looks pretty sweet, man. Like it looks really cool, wolf. And it's just funny that like it looks like it's on fire. At the very least, its breath is on fire, but it's weak to fire. So I mean, it's kind of like okay.
I love the designs of the wolf type enemies. It starts with Coyote, that's like really basic.
Yeah.
And then they just start getting more and more intense. So like you said, this one looks just straight up evil, right? It's got like
Yeah.
crazy teeth and everything. And like you said, it's like almost breathing fire or something. But it's also pretty tough. They start to actually get a pretty decent amount of HP at this point, where even with Tidus, you might not one hit KO it, depending on how strong Tidus is.
It has like
And it's kinda
1800
hard
health,
to,
I think.
Yeah, it's got a lot, and again, same thing with the wolf type things. This just inflicts a whole bunch of status ailments every time it attacks. So silence, sleep, stuff like that on hit.
And as just the theme moving forward, as we expand to Comlands, everything has, for the most part, really high magic defense. Spells are not going to, even the Aga spells aren't going to probably be taking them out with one hit. It'd probably take 2, maybe even 3. And so, yeah, you really do have to rely on physical things. There's just an imp one that is imp. So we just got the imp and weak to water. I mean, nothing crazy other than, obviously just dodges
And
everything.
again with this guy too, isn't the effect cool? How he's got like almost this smoke coming off him, like this purple smoke.
Yeah, he's got like an
It's just
aura.
floating around. Yeah, they're turning into like insane fiends at this point. From the original guys of like Mushroom Rock that were extremely basic to these guys. You've got another bomb type called the grenade, sort of like a black version.
Yeah, it's like a
or something
purple
like
black
that, like
one.
dark
So
purple.
like you said, I mean,
Yeah,
this one,
exactly.
all the enemies are starting to look so cool, man, because I love
Yeah.
this model of the bomb. It's probably my favorite one across the whole series for just bombs,
Yeah. So weak to ice, super high magic defense,
Dude,
kind of
super
hard to
high.
take down. It has a lot.
Like talking
Yeah,
like Blizzaras, because it's weak to ice. Yeah, Blizzaras were doing like 700, right? And the thing has, I think it's like 6 to 8,000 health. So there's no
it's
way you're
eight.
gonna take
Yeah.
it out with 3 magic spells. No way. And so this was a problem for me because Kimahri. So let me give you guys an update on Kimahri, right? Because I finally moved them off of Riku's, right? So from the beginning, I moved them all the way down to Riku's. And then I kind of just followed the trail for a bit because she does have some strength things there. Because at that point, I'm like, gosh, man, he's weak. And so I picked them up. But at this point, I finally moved him off. And so I kind of went up Tidus's trail a little bit. So I returned there. And then I unlocked it to get to Orin's. And then from that, it actually leads right to the end of Waka's. And it's a tier 3. So I'm gonna unlock that level 3 rather lock and go through and just backtrack through Waka's. I'm going to start the end and go that way because he also can't hit anything because he has no accuracy. But he wasn't able to get these guys. So silver lining with the grenades though is their self-destruct. It only does like 600 damage, man. It's pretty weak. I was
Oh,
like,
really?
dude,
Interesting.
I was a little scared at first because some of these battles you get like what 2 or 3 of the grenades. I'm like, this is not gonna go well. And after they self-destructed at 600, I'm like, oh, I'm not okay. So I just had Yuna hit him 3 times just to get him over with.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you're expecting like it's gonna be something intense.
Dude, I thought he was
It's
gonna
like
like kill
such a
someone,
damage.
man.
Like, oh, oh, okay, yeah, that's not a big deal
Yeah,
at
I could deal
all.
with this.
Oh man. And then also we got the crazy upgraded version of the lizard type enemies. This one is
The
a
Drakes, yeah.
Nidhogg. Yep, the Drake type enemies. Which Nidhogg is actually we've seen that in other Final Fantasies too, huh? Like there
Yeah.
was Final Fantasy 12, you had the Nidhogg, which was a snake in that
Yep.
one. But this guy has a decent amount of HP. I believe it's around the range of 3,700. So he's also again, like I said, this is kind of getting to the point where you may not kill him in one turn, and if you don't kill him in one turn, he can hit really hard with physical attacks. He can even cause slow on hit,
Yeah.
and then he's got a really brutal breath attack if he charges up for it, things like that.
Grad's kind of like the plant things that shoot the seeds. Kind of same thing. The same thing here with just seed burst. Is the kind of the one that can be dangerous because it causes confusion. So definitely, I like to take those guys out first because, dude, I ain't dealing with confusion. It's like one of the worst
Dude,
status elements in all Final Fantasies. It's
yeah,
so dangerous.
for real. And we just got to touch on that, right? Like, I mean, why confusion is just so annoying. I feel like any status that causes you to lose control of your characters is just brutal. They might not even do something stupid. It's just annoying in general because you'll have them like attacking your own guys, and if it's somebody like Waka with high accuracy, high strength, it's like
Yeah,
it's so annoying. You'll just be taking out
seriously.
characters.
And Bashura, it's just another one of those Yetis. And it's exact typical things. They put the dukes up, they hit hard, I mean, that not too much tactic wise have changed. Just a big purple 4-armed Yeti.
But a lot of HP. This guy, he's annoying because what'll typically happen, you'll probably get this the most. One of the most common encounters is one of him, two of these grats. So
Yep.
altogether, these battles start getting really annoying and time consuming because Bashura has like 18,000 HP or something like that. He's got a ton of HP, got two grats in there with him. It starts getting seriously annoying. The only good thing is that all or a lot of these guys, like both of those two, at least the Grat and the Bashir, are weak to fire. Think what else I do. I'm not sure. I think you can put him to sleep as well. So you can put him to sleep and then just hit him with fire.
Just bursting down with magic, yeah.
Dude, we got to talk about this. What's up with all the Machina just running around on Gagazet?
Dude, okay, let me tell you a story. About 1,000 years ago, people worked all day, or no, what, slept all day and let the Machina do the work. Dude, the Machina have run wild, man. They're just like, they're guerrilla Machina. They've just been out in the wild living like this forever.
Seriously. And these guys, again, kind of beating a dead horse here. They hit really hard. They're starting to get
Oh,
really
they
annoying. And
do.
there's two different types. Two different types here now. We've kind of got the typical sort of two-legged one, like the one we saw in Beaconel.
Yep.
And then we've got like this mech leader.
It's
And these
Mech
guys,
Defender
oh,
is the
okay,
like
yeah,
the
that's what it is, the
four-legged one, yeah.
defender. Yeah, it's like a four-legged one, and it hits really, really hard.
It's like
It's just
1,800,
got a lot of
man.
HP. Yeah, seriously, it can KO your character super easily. So
Yeah.
again, easiest way if you don't care about overkill, just steal from 'em. Kill
Steal
'em right off
from,
the
yep,
bat.
do that. And I mean, weak to lightning, so luckily that does do it, but it's quite common that you'll get the battle with 2 defenders and 1 leader, and seriously, 2 defenders hit you, you're gonna die if it hits the same person because, gosh, they just hit so hard.
And they have a lot of HP. Again, really time-consuming battles.
And a lot of them, as per usual. Like, it's to
Like
the
3
point where
steps.
I'm trying not to rely on the nice cheats for the remaster, but dude, we had patience of a saint back in the day. I guess we didn't know any better because we had no
Oh,
choice,
good.
but goodness gracious, dude, I made it through like half this zone. I was like, all right, that's all I can do. I had to turn battles off. I'm like, I just want to actually play the game.
I was
I want to go in the
I was
story.
gonna say, man. I was gonna say it's a saving grace of the HD remaster, right? Because back in the day, honestly, you couldn't do anything about it but just flee. I mean, there was no way. I'm sorry, like unless you grinded for hours and hours and hours, you're not gonna have no encounters at this point. Yeah, it was just painful back in the day. I think everybody hates Gagazet for that reason, man. It's such a long
Yes.
path and so many flipping encounters
Uh,
every like 5 steps.
Yep, and what we'll get to is there's plenty of little side routes that you do want to take, and so then you have to backtrack, and it just makes even more, it makes it even longer. And the thing
Every
is
every 2 seconds.
you do
Yeah.
need to do these battles though to some extent, right? Because you do have something coming up that is pretty imperative that you build up your strength. Once we're moving though, so we're still back at Biran and Yenke. Right to the right, you have to take this little side path. There's a chest with 20,000 gil, so that's pretty cool. That's quite a bit. And then
Yeah.
like on the other side is one with 2 mega potions. Where we'll get the treasures as we go.
You're walking, it's just a linear path like everything else. It sort of zigzags back and forth, but you've got these little they sort of just look like little shrines, kind of like a pile of rocks and like a totem or something like that, in the middle. And you go talk to these and you get these little cutscenes actually. It's kind of
Yeah,
cool.
it was kind of
And
cool.
this one basically Lulu explains that they mark the graves of summoners and guardians who failed. How the heck did they fail? Like they made it this far, did they freeze to death?
I, I guess. And also, it's kind of like, Lulu, how do you even know this? She's like, I read it in a book once. Because you didn't make
Yeah,
it this far. I mean, you don't know this. You just like, oh yeah, no, those
yeah,
are shrines, man. They mark fallen summoner
yeah.
guardians. How do you know
I don't
this?
know.
Did you go to
Legend has
summoner
it.
school?
Yeah. It's the history of spirits. Like, yep. All of these summoners made it to about here and they didn't make it any further.
Make it any further. They died on the mountain. Okay. Well, I mean, they are pretty hard fiends, so I guess, but keep going on past. There's just side paths, so we'll just leave it at that. The first one you'll come up at is there's actually a jet sphere. It's actually called a Braska sphere, and that's what it is. It's Braska just filming, and he's basically just encouraging he's like, I don't know how old you are at this point, but just make sure you stay true to your path, follow your heart, so to speak, and just do you. You have my support. I believe in you, kind of a deal. Funny note though, dude, I just love how you see Jet walking back and forth in the ground. This dude is barefoot and shirtless, dude. How are you not frozen to death? What the heck, is hypothermia not a thing?
I know. That's the other thing I was gonna say too, right? Like we all we have to worry about are the battles. We don't have to worry about how cold it is. And you could literally see, we're on like this pathway in the middle of a mountain and the wind, it's almost like blowing snow like blizzard conditions.
Sideways.
Where nobody's tripping about the cold. We're
No
all
one.
good.
Yeah. Well, dude, is it like to go all the way back to Bosch Temple? Tidus, he simply got a little wet. He's cold. And here it's like,
Cold.
no,
Yeah.
that was it, dude. That was enough for him to
Yeah.
develop some thick skin that resists the even worse cold
Yep.
temperatures.
I know. Now that you mention it, seriously, that's kind of just a funny side note. We haven't talked about food since the very beginning of the game. We never got our lunch.
Let me tell you, dude.
You know,
That
what did we eat?
spaghetti was made out of lambras bread or whatever. Lambras. You only need a tiny bit and it sustains you.
Yeah, I don't know. It's Final Fantasy logic, but it's also kind of funny at the
Well,
beginning. He's like
it is
hungry.
It is Final Fantasy logic,
Yeah.
but he also talked about his needs at one point, and now they're
It's like,
not a thing anymore.
hungry. No, we never eat. We never stop for food or anything, unless they're just kind of like eating on the side at the Ren's travel agency. I guess.
I guess we'll just
I don't
we'll
know.
assume so there. Yes. Oh boy. Well, the next shrine you come to, Lulu explains that, the summoners who do die here, and I'm assuming guardians as well for the most part, but particularly summoners, they aren't sent. Tidus is kind of like, why not? It's like, well, dude, I mean, come on, think about it. who is gonna send them the summoner die. They're not
Yep.
like traveling around in posses together. So yeah, they're just dying, and essentially at that point you can assume they're fiends around. So maybe that's why these fiends are a little stronger, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's kinda interesting to think, right? Like, maybe the imps are like the summoners or the magic casters or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Like,
seriously.
I would imagine, like, Tidus would probably turn into the Bandersnatch or something.
Yeah.
That'd
Yeah,
be
they
a
will.
whole different conversation topic. Who turns into what?
Who turns into what? Yes, that's pretty
Yeah.
funny.
But if you keep going, like you said, on another one up here, you kind of go up and make a little 90-degree turn to this little spot. You get a defending bracer for Arn, and this is really, really good. I believe it has stone proof on it, if I'm not mistaken. It's just really, really good. It's got a couple of proof status
Nice.
protections on it, which is really nice.
I didn't take a look at it because I'm not using it, so I have no input there. But yeah, defending
Yeah.
bracers in the chest. As you keep going, there's a dude standing off the side. And he's like, "My name's Wants." And you're like, "Oh,"
Yeah.
and then Titus like, "Wait, hold on a second. Have you been following us and stuff?" And he's like, "Hmm." He's like, "Not
Yeah.
running today, huh?" It's like, "Yeah. Where's
Yeah.
that? Where's that paparazzi photo you took of us, huh?"
Yep. Remember the first time you see him in the game, I think, is on the boat from Besaid to Kilika.
Oh,
Actually,
that's
so
true.
it's kind of
Yeah.
funny. Once you've seen him once and you play the game again, you'll see him. He is a bit of a creep. He's constantly like following
He's
us
just
the whole
following
time.
us.
But he never says anything through the entire game. And like you said at Thunder Plains, he like takes your picture and then just runs off.
But yeah, apparently he's Owaka's brother, and he's carrying on the business because Owaka got imprisoned for helping us. So, that's it's kind of like, ugh, sorry, bud, but maybe
Yep.
you should have pulled a Makalania temple and just teleported out of there when you were in Bavel. It's like, maybe you should have ran away.
Yep.
But hey,
What a legend, right? Yeah, I mean, Awaka literally going to prison for us. Oh, once says something like, "What is Lady Yona gonna do without us or without me? You're gonna have to go and sell to him or something like that."
Yeah.
With his Australian accent.
You don't want to pass him. You definitely want to talk to him because if you talk to him now, it ensures that he will appear later in the game, and he has really
Yeah,
good stuff now, and he's gonna have even better stuff then. So definitely talk to him now. As usual with some of these stores, we're just gonna kind of highlight some of the best things or maybe mentionables. Honestly, it's going to start to get incredibly expensive, so you might need to plan on kind of what you want to buy and don't want to buy. But first off, dude, you can get the conductor rod. Oh man, I mean it's 90,000 now. Mind you, I did have the discount in mind, the highest discount 30%, so it'd be even more. It's got initiative, which you might be like, okay, but it's got 3 open slots now, so that's a great
yeah.
thing.
I love this one. Honestly, I think this is usually my go-to. There's a whole bunch. Like, guys, this is the first time in the game. This is end game type equipment, right? Like, this is
Seriously.
this is equipment that you could be, you can use towards the very end of the game. Conductor's so awesome. And another thing I love to do with this, so the 3 open slots just make it so useful. Initiative's always useful, but I love to put like magic booster on this with a black magic sphere or something like that. It's just great.
Well, and on that note, there's the booster cactar. 112,000, so quite steep, but oh, dude, it's got
Yeah.
magic booster on it and magic 10 and 5%. So magic plus 15% in magic booster. Oh, dude, huge upgrade.
The one thing I will say, can you imagine how expensive it'd be if it didn't have that magic +5 or something like that? That's so good. I mean, it's
Yeah,
great anyways.
yeah,
But
because it would have the open slot. And of course, yeah, so it does have one
yep,
more open slot. So I've had 2 slots. Oh, yeah.
it would be worth so much more. Another really awesome one, especially since Riku, I usually don't have that great of weapons for her or anything.
Yeah,
Like she
true.
doesn't seem to get that many drops. You don't get that many chests. Like I'll usually just have some really garbage kind of strength +5, magic +5 kind of weapon. So you can get the survivor super steep. You're probably gonna have to be wise on this and pick and choose what you really want to get. But survivor's 98k, but it's got alchemy on it, which is insane. So especially if you use Riku a lot for healing, like for example, Albed potions, this essentially just doubles the effectiveness of healing stuff. So your Albed potions will heal for 2,000 on
Be a
everybody.
mega potion,
Does come with
essentially.
strength. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Mega potions will do 4,000. Again, it's just super powerful. The strength +10, I mean, okay, but I just don't ever use her for attacking, so I guess that's beside the point.
Yeah, and then there's some other stuff, and then there's various armors that have like HP plus 10, defense plus 10, various things, and then a few of them have zombie ward, and you might see that and be like, that's strange. Well, you might want to get that and or just buy a bunch of holy water to get zombie ward, in which don't use all
Yeah,
your gil if you're gonna do that, because to get enough holy waters you need 30 of them, and they're 300 each, so it's 9k a pop to customize
yeah.
zombie ward on something.
Yeah, it's super expensive. Holy water is not cheap. But like you said, exactly, you're kind of looking through and you're thinking, huh, okay, zombie. This is the first time we've seen zombie ward. Haven't even really seen zombie as a status
Yeah.
in the game, but it's kind of foreshadowing, guys.
Yes.
Something is about to happen. This is definitely something you want to maybe invest in. And some of them aren't super crazy expensive. I think around the 25, 30K range. So maybe pick up one of those just to be safe.
And well, once you're done shopping, the next side path will be just down a little bit further. It has two chests this time. It's got an HP sphere, and is it your first? I
Oh,
think it's the first. No, second, because we got one in
second,
at
yeah.
home, but your
Home.
second level
Yep.
4 key sphere.
Oh, man. And the HP sphere again,
We haven't got one of
another
those in a
plus
while.
300. Yeah, exactly. Man, that's just such a good couple of chests, right? Gotta get those. They're both really good.
Well, and there's one more shrine. Lulu this time has barely anything to say. It's just kind of something more along the lines of what we talked about, like Summoner's Fallen and all this stuff.
To
And then
make it this far, yeah, exactly.
then there's just a save point randomly on the path. So, that's usually a good indicator that something's going to happen. And so, well, we're going to save right here, and that's going to be it. So, we'd like to thank you all for listening to the episode, supporting our podcast. We really do appreciate it. You can stop off at our website, FinalStop.FinalFantasyTalks.com, just for a little bit more info and some things, and listen to the podcast there, which I guess you're already listening to it. So, you could go there and listen to it if you want, but we do appreciate the support, like I said.
Yeah, we're enjoying it. We hope you guys are enjoying it too. Again, like we spontaneously occasionally post things on social and feel free to jump in and leave your comments on some of the things that we talk about here. Yeah, we just hope that you guys are enjoying it as much as we do.
All right, well, we'll catch you in the next episode. I'm Mark,
And I'm Alex.
and this is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks.